everyone, so welcome to today's video. I wanted to sit down and talk to you about some of my favorite makeup brushes. I often sit down and turn the camera on to do makeup videos, tutorials, product reviews, favorites, but I don't do videos solely dedicated on tools, brushes, and they're a huge part of the routine. It's not just the product and the makeup that you put on, but it's the tool that you use. And there's so many brushes out there that it could be overwhelming for some people who are starting off in makeup. For some people who want to expand their brushes, there's regular, more basic brushes, and then there are brushes that have different shapes, very unique shapes, and different bristles, and it can kind of throw someone off possibly looking at all the brushes on the market and trying to figure out, do I really need that? What do I need? What is the essentials, the basic brushes to get my makeup done from A to Z? And I feel like I have a great range. I'm looking down at all my brushes, and I have some really great brushes to share with you. I also 100% believe that brushes are worth an investment. That does not mean that you have to spend $100 on one brush. You can get some really great brushes for less than that individually. You can also get brush sets. I'm a huge fan of brush sets because it gives you a range of brushes. And usually brush sets, depending on what type, you can get eye brush sets that will just be all the brushes that you're going to need to create an eye look. And you can get a set of just face brushes for all the face steps, right? Or you can also get brush sets that have a combination of face and eye brushes. That is how I acquired some of my brushes that I'm going to talk about today. It was a set that had face and eyes, and I do think that the price point is great for giving me a range of brushes to use. But a lot of these brushes can be purchased individually. So you don't necessarily have to have all of these brushes in your collection. You don't have to go out and buy them all. But I do feel like these brushes have completely transformed my makeup application. The way my makeup looks today is so much better and different than it looked 2-3 years ago. I feel like I've improved my makeup skills just by continuously doing makeup every single day, because every day is more practice. But it's also the tools. And I took a moment to take a step back and look at all of my brushes. I have lots of them here in front of me, and I have a whole drawer of dirty brushes that I don't even want to look at because I do not like washing my brushes. Fun fact, I do not like brush laundry. So I was looking at my brushes and I realized these play a significant role in my makeup routine. You've seen a lot of these brushes in my tutorials before, so what I'm going to do is talk about some of my favorite brushes. I will plug in some demos that I recorded today, kind of overlapping as I'm talking, so you can see some of these in action. Now, I didn't use every single brush because I don't need to use every single brush every day. However, I'm going to demo the ones that I use today. So we're going to go ahead and jump things off with the foundation brushes. First up is my Anisa Pinnacle foundation brush. I started using foundation brushes over the last couple of years. There was a big chunk of time during my makeup journey that I didn't use a brush for foundation because the ones that I tried will always leave streaks. So when I found some of these brushes that I'm going to talk about today, over the course of several years of just trying makeup and products, I realized that they are great brushes out there for foundation that do not leave streaks. And I always used to use a sponge, which we'll get into in a moment about my sponges that I like to use for makeup. But this one just completely wowed me from the jump. So much so that I ended up ordering 2 of them. Yes, I have 2. This one is dirty and needs to be washed. So that's why I just took it out of my drawer just so I can show you. But this one needs to be washed. But this is the Pinnacle foundation brush. It's the triangular size, and you will see I will kind of do little dots of product directly onto the brush itself, or just dipping it into a makeup palette and then buffing it in. But you will see how quickly it is to get this brush to blend in foundation incredibly fast, even, smooth, streak free. And it does the job in just seconds. And I feel like this brush has allowed me to sort of streamline my makeup process of getting ready and having to do a quick makeup routine. I don't need to spend 5 minutes doing a blend for makeup. I can easily do this brush and a foundation and be done with literally, just a couple seconds, and it is done. And it's so easy, and I love how soft the brush is. I love how it's retained its shape after multiple washes, and it just kind of dries and goes right back to what you see here on camera. Although mine is dirty, it's used, it is very much loved. The next brush that is an absolute must-have in my collection, the bristles are a little bit different on this one. They feel still incredibly soft and very high-end. It's my BK Beauty 101 brush. You may have seen this brush a lot on social media. That's how I found out about this brand. Seeing a lot of their brushes on Instagram or TikTok, And I decided to invest in BK Beauty brushes. So I have a lot of their brushes, and I'm going to tell you off the bat, I do feel like the quality and the performance is 10 out of 10. And that is why they're a little bit more pricey, but you are getting great, great quality tools. This one, the 101, is a huge, huge multitasker in my collection because I can literally do a lot of my steps with just one brush. I can do my foundation, I can do my bronzer, I can set my face with powder, I can even use it for blush. I can also do highlighter. If I turn the brush and I use the back side that's a little bit more like taller, I can use that in a pinch to do highlight. If I only brought one brush upstairs to get ready in my bathroom and this was the only brush, I can knock out all my steps with this so incredibly fast, and I just adore this brush. It has not shed a hair since I've owned it. I've had this brush for well over a year at this point, and it still looks incredibly beautiful. It dries great. And of course, a lot of my brushes, you will see, they're dirty because they are used. And this one is definitely part of my brush laundry collection because it needs to be washed. But I love the handle. That burgundy color is just really, really nice and very, very top-notch quality. So that is a must-have. And I'm going to talk about this next one also from BK Beauty here, and I will kind of show it to you again in the demo when we get to the makeup application for this specific brush. But if you like the style of the 101 brush from BK Beauty, but you want something smaller that is a little bit easier to work with, or maybe you just like smaller brushes, try the BK Beauty 109. It is the baby version of the 101. So this one had sold out so many times, and I could not believe that I was able to finally get my hands on it. It had gone viral, but it basically is the baby version of the 101. So 101 and 109. So there's the difference of the two, and you can see they both serve different purposes in my collection, but this one is also great for foundation, which is why I'm including it again in this part, and you'll see it again in the next part for contour and bronzer, because this makes a great multitasker as well. It's great for, like I said, foundation or different sort of steps. Cream bronzer, cream highlight, cream blush if you wanted to, powder, under eye. I mean, the size is just perfect. And the taper of these brushes is just spectacular. It's flawlessly cut from short to longer as it tapers. Everything is just really nicely, tightly packed, and you can tell that there's quality behind the brand. So that's why I personally invest my own money in these, and I talk about them a lot, and I use them in my videos because they're truly worth every single penny that you will pay for them. Up next is the concealer brush from Anisa Beauty. This is the angled concealer brush. You can purchase it in a bundle with the foundation brush or individually, which is how I got mine. I bought 2 bundle sets, and I just absolutely love this brush for concealer. It has an oval shape, as you will see in the demo. I'm using this brush to blend out my concealer. I'm mixing 2 different shades directly onto my skin. I'm not pre-mixing beforehand, and it blends the concealer flawlessly under the eyes. The shape is perfect for getting right into the inner caverns of the eye where the most darkness is on me personally, and also in the very innermost corner of the eye where there's a little bit of shadowing. But what I like about this brush is that it's soft and it doesn't apply a lot of pressure, and it doesn't drag, it doesn't pull under my eyes. But I also like how it just blends and retains the coverage of my concealer. Sometimes when you purchase a full coverage concealer and you go in with a sponge, the sponge tends to grab some extra product and remove some of that, so you're not quite getting the full coverage. So if you buy a full coverage concealer and you want to retain that under the eyes, obviously there's a reason why you purchase that type of coverage, then you need to get a good brush that can retain that so you can really get your money's worth out of that concealer. And that's exactly what this brush is. I don't have many concealer brushes because I personally still love using my Beautyblender for concealer. I use it almost every day for concealer. If I'm not using the brush, I'm using the sponge. But this is the brush that I will use. I also have the concealer brush from BK Beauty, the one that was a collab with Angie Hot and Flashy, which I have a lot of those brushes in this video, and they come in a set. So I went through my drawer and I picked it out of my drawer. It's the A506. It's also great for concealers. That little, it's again angled, tapered. The bristles are perfectly cut and shaped just right to get right in the under eye area to sort of blend and spread the product. So a little bit of product can be spread a very long way with a brush like this, or the Anisa angled concealer brush. But this one, like I said, it was from my drawer and it's dirty, and I do need to wash it because it's really great. It's soft and it gets the job done so beautifully. So I'm not a huge setting powder person when it comes to my face. I will use setting powder under the eyes, and for that I will use my damp beauty sponge. So let's talk about this beauty sponge. This is the OG classic Beautyblender. It's a $20 sponge and it literally does a lot of things. So even though it's a $20 sponge and someone may say that's a lot of money for a beauty sponge, and yes, there are other cheaper alternatives out there that will get the job done great. I have some other options as well. I will link them down below for you that I personally have had experience with and really do enjoy. But this is the OG. I keep coming back to my pink Beautyblender. I love pink, as you can tell by my shirt and my headband. I love pink and I love the color. The color has really nothing to do with the application. But in this case, I do feel like the pink Beautyblender is better than the dark black one or the sort of nude tan color. And the deal with this is that you want to dampen this, wring it underneath some water, squeeze it so it gets really nice and wet, and then wring out the excess moisture and water, wrap it into a paper towel so that it's slightly damp. And that literally will change not only how this looks, because this will kind of swell and get bigger, like twice the size, but it literally changes the way the makeup goes on and it blends everything so great. So this tool is not to be slept on. The pointed side I use for concealer to blend my concealer, to set my concealer, blend in my eyeshadow primer, set my primer. The rounded side is great for bouncing in any type of complexion product, whether it's foundation, a skin tint, a stick foundation, you blend that in. You can bounce in a cream, bronzer, contour, blush. You can do so many things with this one sponge. So 20 bucks is very much worth it if I'm going to be using it for all of those steps. So I wanted to do a shout out quickly on this because I have to have a beauty sponge in my routine. So I have a couple brushes in the bronzer section that I like to use specifically for that step of my routine. And I'm gonna start with the demo of the Sephora Pro 59. This is actually a powder brush, but I got this over the holidays in a set that came out. It was a limited edition set because the handles are black with silver sparkles, which I think is really pretty. But the Sephora Pro Collection brushes are definitely some of the best brushes that you can pick up at Sephora. And they have quickly become like absolute staples in my collection. So this one is the one that I like to use for my bronzer, and it's rounded. The tip of the brush, everything is tapered, so it's shorter here, and then it gets a little longer as it gets towards the center of the bristles, and then it's cut and rounded off. So it's perfect for dusting on powder, which is what it's labeled as. But I like to use this for bronzer, and as you will see, I did bronzer powder on one side, and then I come back in with the demo for the 109 using this same brush, the baby version of the 101 from BK Beauty, for my cream bronzer. So you can see both applications of these brushes, and that's typically what I use my 109 for. I also really like using this for applying primer. If I don't want to get primer on my hands and I want to sort of not get my products dirty, I can use this to blend in my primer. But some other brushes are from a set. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do like brush sets. So when I saw this brush set was on sale, over a year ago at Ulta, I decided to pick it up because these brushes are more expensive. The brush set from the makeup, the Morphe and the Arial makeup brush sets are around $100 for the face set. So I thought that's a little bit steep for Morphe because they usually can give you brushes for like $5, $10, $12, but $100 for a set, that seems kind of high. So I was kind of curious, and then I realized, wait a minute, this is definitely a step up from what I remember Morphe producing and selling individually. And I do like these, and I like the color of the handle. So this one is the A24. I don't know if you can buy these individually, but this one is part of that set. So is the A21, which is great for powder. The A58 for blush. I have a bunch of them, and it came with some eye brushes, and I do really like this one, the A24 for cream bronzer. And I often use this when I use my e.l.f. putty blush and bronzer because it fits perfectly in those little small jars, and I can swirl my brush and kind of blend and apply, and it's so incredibly soft. But I like how the bristles are kind of pinched here at the base of the ferrule, but then they kind of spread a little bit, and it's more of a flatter top, not so rounded. I mean, it's kind of tapered on the sides, but it's more flat. So it's great for packing in your contour right there in the hollows of the cheekbone where you would apply your contour, for bringing on the tops of the cheekbone with some bronzer. You can even use this for blush. Now, it will pick up a lot of product because it is flat and it's densely packed. It's not soft and wispy, which is what I would recommend personally for blush. But if you wanted to get more out of your blush or more impact, more color, then you can use something a little bit more dense to kind of pack that on. But this is a great brush and a great set. Another brush that I feel like is just truly a multitasker, and it is quite steep, the price point for this one brush, but it is the Heavenly Lux brush from it Cosmetics. This one is a double-ended brush. I bought this again over a year ago, and I have loved using this brush for every single step. And that is why I feel like the price point, I want to say it's right around $50, is worth it, because I can do foundation, I can turn it over and use this side for concealer, I can do bronzer, blush, I can do highlight, I can set, I can do so much with this one brush, and it is seriously a game changer. It's soft, it's incredible. Mine is kind of stained a little bit because I used it for my Givenchy loose powder, which is what I did for the demo today, but this is what I used for that specific blush because it did stain my actual bristles, so I do need to kind of really give this a good scrub to see if I can get this off, the pink tint, but I love this for foundation. But I'm going to demo this brush today with the loose blush from Givenchy, so you can see how I use this to sort of pack on my blush and just kind of tap and go in circular motions over the nose and just blend my blush. And it is flawless the way this makes your makeup look, whether it's foundation or bronzer, blush. It truly is a must-have. Like, if you pick up one brush, let this be the one that you pick up out of all of them, because this can do so much, especially if you are a beginner or you need some brushes, you're starting off a collection. Get one of these and start off with this brush, and then add some extra bonus brushes that from this video that you feel like will be beneficial for your routine. But if you had to start with one brush that can do multiple things, this is where it's at. The Angie Hot and Flashy A507 with BK Beauty is beautiful. I love this for applying my blush. You can do bronzer with it, you can do powder with it, you can do contour with it if you wanted to. It's angled, and again, the cut of these brushes is top quality, so I love BK Beauty brushes. The 112 from BK Beauty is a very soft, kind of wispy, angled brush that is perfect for cream and liquid products. I use this for my cream blushes, cream highlighters, liquid blushes, because it's wispy and it's airy and it gives a very soft kind of blurred effect to the skin. And there's a lot of give to these bristles. It's really soft. Think of how fluffy and soft a fan brush would be. It's kind of like that. The bristles are really soft. It's kind of pinched here at the bottom, but they're a little bit looser and more at an angle with the cut, but a little bit more loose and flowy versus something like this from Morphe, or even the A507 that has a little bit more, I don't want to say stiffness, because that may register in someone's mind as being a brush that is too rough. It's not, and it's not dense. It's got enough give, but there's also enough density in it that it doesn't kind of move around too much. That's what happens with this 112. It has so much give. Do you see that? It just kind of moves a lot. So this is great for a very light sort of cream blush effect, or, you know, going under the eye with a little bit of setting powder. But if you get your blush or your bronzer a little too low, you can take this brush that's wispy with a little bit of translucent powder and clean up your mistakes. So it's a great brush that I do love. And then again, the Sephora collection, the 93, is perfect for the blush. It's the right shape for that. But I also find that this brush is great for contour. So if you're a contour person, this is a brush that you want to invest in. It's the 93 by the Sephora collection. I have a few more brushes for final touches and highlighters. So this brush here specifically is the A14 from the Morphe and Arial collection. This was part of that brush set that I mentioned that I got these other face brush sets from. This is what I use for highlighter. It's like a jumbo size crease brush. You see, it's pretty big, so it's perfect for highlighter, and that's what I demoed today. I use this for highlight, and I just love how this brush is cut. It's got a little bit of a point on the very top of the bristles, so it can really kind of get right in there and hug the tops of the cheekbone where you want your highlighter. You can get just a little bit right in the center of the nose, tip of the nose, if you're like me and like that highlight look. I'm here for it. It's perfect because you can go right in there and highlight with this brush. You can also use it for eyeshadow as well, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is marketed as, for eyes, but it's a good one for highlighter. And then Real Techniques, this is the 402. This is a setting brush. Real Techniques makes some really great brushes, so that's a very good starting point for someone who's beginning in makeup or wants more affordable brushes. The Real Techniques line has some really great options. I have a lot of my favorites, and this is like a huge brush, but this is actually labeled as a blush brush, but it's enormous. I like to use this for bronzer. It's soft, it's wispy, and I'm pretty sure the bristles are synthetic. They wash well, and you can find them at Ulta online. They always go on sale, so it's a great place to get, or a great brand to get a lot of brushes for an affordable price that actually will hold up and last really well. So this is a grid brush for setting under the eyes, for cleaning up any fallout, for going around the nose, if you want to clean up any sort of bronzer or contour that you use there. Again, cleaning up underneath here, setting center of the forehead. Highlighter is great for this. Setting your primer if you use a primer. Many uses for this brush, but the setting brush is a must-have. Eye brushes. I've got lots of my favorite ones, and we'll be here all day talking about brushes. So I'm going to kind of quickly go through some of these. The BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brushes are incredible for eyes. The A501 is great for setting, primer for going all over the lids with eyeshadow, and in that set you also get like an A502 crease brush. You get a lot of brushes in that set. I have a lot of their original brushes that are the burgundy handles that you can buy in sets or individually. So I will list all of my favorites. I have a 211, the 212. I will just insert some demos of me using these brushes. The 204 for under the eye is also really great for doing like smudgy eye looks. I started off my look today with the A503 in my crease to give me a light dusting of a warm tan shade, and it blends eyeshadow like a dream, and it makes my eyeshadow look a little bit better than just a beginner in makeup. It makes it look like I really know what I'm doing. And I would say I'm a makeup enthusiast. I'm not a professional, but this helps me get a really good blend with my eyeshadow, and I can guarantee that it's going to work for you just as well as it does for me. And again, I have to say the Sephora Pro brushes, I'm going to insert some of my favorites and link them for you down below. The Shadow 15, the Pro 27 crease brush. Again, these come from a set, but you can get some of these individually, so I will link them individually down below. My MAC 219, that's an OG. MAC also has really great brushes, again, a little bit higher in price point. So the MAC 219 is a pencil brush. It's a must-have. Also, I really like my MAC 239. I always have to have that clean, and that always gets washed. When I do my little stash of brushes, that's the one that needs to be part of that because it's great for packing on eyeshadow onto the lids. And then I also like Rephr brushes. This is the number 3. This is a very unique brush because it's so tiny. Do you see that? And it's great for inner corner highlight, underneath the eye, brow bone highlight. I also like using this brush if I get a mascara smudge and I just kind of come around here after it dries and boom, it's gone. If I get little bits of fallout and the brush is clean, obviously you don't want to do this with eyeshadow on it. You can go and flick off any sort of little flakes because this brush is so incredibly soft, and I think it's one that is a huge player in my routine when I use it for those purposes because it is so small. I don't have anything that I can think of in my collection, just looking at all my brushes, that is this small and precise. So this is my smallest brush, and I do think it's important to have some brushes that are quite small for more detail work, for more precision work, and this one is great from Rephr. And I also like brushes from Profusion. I have a few that I've tried over the years. Same from Milani. I have a couple Milani brushes and a brush, the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation brush, for some drugstore options. And I will list and link the brushes that I've personally tried and do like and enjoy. The one brush that I actually like to use is the ES5. It's actually written as a flat shader brush, but this little brush looks like a very mini size concealer style brush, and I use this to clean around the lip line when I do lip liner. If I get any smudges, I can come around with concealer and use that brush to clean around the edges of my lip line. And you can also do the same thing with the Rephr number 03 brush. But I like this one because it's synthetic and it's easier to wash, especially getting lip gloss and lipstick products on it. I can go around and just clean up any mistakes. I can soften the edge of my lip line so that it kind of creates a blurred effect so you don't see like an actual harsh line of lip liner. So this little brush does serve a purpose in my routine, and I use this every single day. And I just love this brush, and it's actually held up really well too. So those are most of the brushes that I use on a regular basis, and I have others that are in my collection that I do really like the Hourglass Ambient Foundation Brush. You've seen me use this in lots of my videos. Recently, I had this in my drawer with the dirty brushes. I washed it, and this is great. It is a little bit more pricey. It's around $50 or so, and I only use this brush for foundation. I have not used it for concealer or for contour, even though it probably could serve a good contour brush because of the size and the shape. It's angled and more rounded, but this one is only for me a foundation brush, so it's good if you want to splurge and treat yourself to something special. Then this is a great brush. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. I also have like this brush from the Makeup by Mario. It's the F1, and his brushes are double-ended. So you get 2 brushes for the price point, which I think it makes it a little bit easier. I want to say these are around $30 or so for this brush. It's angled, and this is great for blush. The angled side that's smaller on the other end, I have used in the past for contour or for blending out concealer, going around the eyes. You could use it. So there's a couple different things that you could do with this one brush. But the reason why I don't own a lot of these brushes is not because they're bad. I just am not a huge fan of double-ended brushes because they tend to be difficult to store, because I have a actual like travel brush cup that I keep all my brushes, and a double-ended brush, sometimes they get smushed. So I don't have a lot of them. I do make the exception for my Cosmetics one because I love that and I have to have that. And that is it. Those are all of my favorite brushes. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that I gave you some helpful tips throughout this video with the bullet points of these brushes, the demo, so you can see how you can use these brushes. And as I mentioned previously in the video, just because a brush is made to be a blush brush or a bronzer brush, tongue twisters again, you can use the brushes any way you want, for any purpose that it serves you in your makeup routine. If that brush that is for powder, it makes a great bronzer brush, go for it, use it, love it. I don't think that you have to stick to the way the brush is designed or what the purpose is for, because you can use lots of brushes for different things. And that's just part of playing around with your brushes. You know, have fun with them. Use them for different things. Experiment using a fan brush for more than just highlighter. Use it for bronzer and see what you think. Use it for your blush. And then you may find other ways to make brushes work. And especially when you're using a brush that is maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks for one brush or more than that, if you can use it for multiple things, I feel like that really does make the investment a little bit easier to digest, right? So I don't know. Those are just my own 2 cents on these brushes and my thoughts. I will also list the products that I use to clean my brushes, because I do think that it's good to clean them every week, give them a spot clean every 2 weeks. I personally try to aim for every 2 weeks to really do deep clean. I will list all of my favorite brush cleaning products that I use, sprays, shampoos, little gadgets that I have that help me get the process done quickly. I will link and list them down below. But I do appreciate you for being here. And again, let me know what you think of the video. Share with me your favorite brushes. What are some of your favorites if you've tried these? Share with me your feedback as well. I want to know what you guys are loving using. If there's any brushes out there that really are spectacular that you love that I have not used or have not shown in a video, let me know what it is so that I can try it for myself, because I want to be in on all the good stuff as well. So thank you for being here, and thanks for watching. The description will have everything listed and linked for you. You can also subscribe for more videos like this in the future and follow me on Instagram. It's here on the screen. I hope to see you there and connect with you, and I will catch you in my next video. Take care, you guys, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.